Netflix cut the end credits of Evangelion. Ah! Okay, first off, if you're absolutely convinced that everyone at Netflix is a mustache twirling villain who absolutely hates Neon Genesis Evangelion, and that's why they cut the end credits, find another video. This isn't going to help you. However, if you're honestly curious about why they may have removed that end credit sequence, stay tuned. Now, I'm not claiming to have insider knowledge as to why Netflix cut the end credits of Evangelion, but I do have 4 theories. First off, end credit sequences aren't like legally required. Like, they don't have to be there. In fact, in the movies, you didn't really see end credit sequences consistently until about the 1970s. Check it out. Go back to like old movies in the 40s and 50s and 60s, and some of them don't even have end credits at all, and even when they do, it's really short. Now, TV has had end credit sequences for a long time, but that's more because TV has always had a lot of time to fill. TV is a very hungry medium. Got to fill up 24 hours a day with content. So adding an extra minute of end credits made a lot of sense, but it's still not like required by law. But okay, they don't have to put it, but why not put it in there, right? Well, more importantly, you got to ask yourself what the end credit sequence is there for in an anime series. One of the dirty little secrets of the anime industry is that the opening and closing credits songs are usually chosen by the record label that helped finance the anime series, i.e., most anime series are funded by a couple of different companies, one of them being a record label that dumps a lot of money on the show in return for the rights to choose the opening and ending theme song. As a result, that song is usually more an advertisement for whatever band or act the record label wants to promote, and less, a strong artistic statement by the show's staff. In other words, the opening and ending credits theme songs are already kind of tainted by commercialism if you're making the artistic argument about the end credits to an anime series. They are a commercial decision, not a purely artistic one. But granted, the end credits of Evangelion are a slightly different matter. But that leads to the third point, which I think is more relevant. American licensors have to license, when they license an anime series, have to license all of it, meaning they have to license the music for an anime series. That means if that song was made by an artist or a record label, they have to get the rights to those songs. Those aren't just part of the licensing package necessarily. Sometimes you have to go back to the original rights holders and make sure they're okay with broadcasting their music in another country. But anime gets licensed all the time. Surely the music is all part of that and is just an item on the contract, right? Well, no. Let me tell you the story of Kadocha and 7 O'Clock News, which was the song in the opening credits of Kadocha, a very popular anime series by fans that was in licensing hell for a very long time. And when Funimation finally licensed it, it came out that, guess what? One of the main holdups in licensing it had been the fact that the rights holder for that opening theme song basically refused to license it. He just didn't want it released. He just was sitting on it and it was locked down. So, after months and months and possibly years of negotiation, eventually Funimation basically had to license the anime series and not use that opening credit sequence. Fortunately, there were multiple seasons, so they just used a different opening credit sequence for that season of the show. And that might sound silly, but like that is a thing you have to be aware of, that licensing songs is different from licensing an anime series. It's part of the process, but it's not it's not necessarily something that immediately happens by default. Okay, you might ask, so why does this matter for Evangelion and Fly Me to the Moon? Because there are 31 different versions of Fly Me to the Moon just for the TV series. 31. And that's because there were 26 episodes of the original TV series, but some of those were changed for the home video release in Japan. And by the way, that brings up an important point. Which version are you getting? Right? Are you getting the authentic version that was broadcast on TV, or the version that they changed for the DVD release? So you are getting an altered product at some level. It was altered, not by Netflix, but you're not necessarily getting the original version anyway. So it is more than conceivable that at least one of those artists dug in their heels when Netflix went to license all 31 different versions of Fly Me to the Moon. Indeed, it's conceivable that one of them just doesn't like Netflix and just flat out refused to license it. Just, I don't like Netflix, so no. So those are all possible things, but I have something else to bring up. I actually was lucky enough to talk to some production folks at a convention. And by production folks, I mean they actually work behind the scenes on anime productions, doing music and things like that. And they actually talked about that and Netflix in particular, and they said something very interesting. They said Netflix has tons and tons of data about viewing habits. They know when people start a show and people end a show, how many people of the folks who watched a show, how far they got into it, all that information, right? They also have a lot of information on at what point in an episode people started and stopped. And they know something. People skip the end credits. Now, importantly, I don't just mean some people skip the end credits. Almost nobody actually watches the end credits of anything on Netflix. Even anime series, folks just skip it. They may watch it the first time, but they just skip it. It is done. So what I think happened was a variety of factors. I think Netflix got mired down in licensing Fly Me to the Moon, that some combination of artists had some sort of issues with licensing, couldn't be tracked down, weren't interested, whatever. And in addition, Netflix knows nobody's watching the end credits anyway. And further, the fact that the end credits are not necessarily fundamental to the artistic integrity of a show, particularly an anime series. They are a commercial decision at least as much as an artistic decision. So while it would be lovely to still have Fly Me to the Moon on Netflix, and it would be great to have exactly what we want, it's not there not because Netflix is full of evil people. There are likely reasons why it's not there. And those reasons aren't just we didn't feel like it or we didn't try at all. They probably tried and something happened. Netflix didn't license Evangelion and bring it to their platform because they hate Evangelion or hate its fans. They wanted this to be a success. They clearly have some interest in this show. So I don't think they just kicked the end credits to the curb and said, we won't bother. I'm pretty sure that they ran into problems licensing the end credits and knew it, frankly, wasn't something most people care about. In other words, I think this happened for perfectly understandable reasons. Most things do.